Ladies and gentlemen, in this episode, you are going to hear opinions, and while the podcast is endorsed by Uriah Heep, the opinions of the host and various guests do not necessarily represent the opinions of the band or any of the members past or present. With that being said, let's celebrate the music of Uriah Heep. Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello, Heapsters, and welcome to the Friday episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast, unless you're listening on another day, in which case it's the whatever day you're listening episode. We have a song for you that is going to help you just glide right into your weekend. It is the first bonus track that is listed on its own without a partner of, an alternate take of variety. And this one is called A Right to Live. Here it is by Uriah Heep from the album Fallen Angel. Okay, I know we just started, but I got to stop here because there's something to talk about already. So the organ is over in your right ear. There's a weird brassy synth sound coming from all around you. And then suddenly the organ moves from your right ear kind of into the middle, just all of a sudden. It's really weird, but it's also a strange combination of sounds too. I can't think of anything that has this strikingly odd of a beginning. The mood is just really strange, and I don't know where it's going yet, but I do know that it's going somewhere. Now, I'm going to start the song over since we're only a few seconds in, so see if you can hear that transition. You're listening for the organ that's in your right ear to just kind of just jump into the center. Well, so far, this is pretty funky, or damn funky, as Glenn Hughes might say. I really like the mood of it. The synth is kind of weird, though. It's one that I would expect more to hear blended in as opposed to really standing out front. That patch can get a little bit, I don't know if annoying is right the word, but kind of cumbersome, I think, for a song. So usually a sound like that, you would typically blend in with, some other elements or some other layers. And to hear it's just kind of standing out on its own a little bit. But I like the drums. I love the bass. I love what's going on here. Great vocal kicking in as always. And let's just see what happens next. Well, I love the drums during the chorus. It's kind of almost like a slower disco. If you sped that up, I could see people out on roller skates just dancing away on their wheels. But it's slowed down, and it really feels interesting. Also, we talk about it. Lee doesn't play the ride cymbal a lot in Uriah Heep. up to this point. So it was kind of nice to hear that. But I love that little ride snare pattern that he was playing. And then, of course, doing some lifts on the hi-hat in between, giving it that disco feel. Really, really cool stuff. And, of course, a great vocal. The guitars are very subtle, but they're really helping move things along just with some quick movements that they're making. But they're very, those parts are very important. They're subtle. Sometimes you don't even hear them. You just feel them more than you realize that they're there. But they're very vital to just the motion of a song, to thickening up the sound of a song. So, it may not be a heavy riff, but, a lot of times instruments will just fill in and be what they need to be in a particular song. So I really like this so far. Again, it kind of has the same sort of mood as Fallen Angel, maybe not quite as crisp to me, but it does definitely have sort of a, the sun goes down early kind of mood. Really like this.
It all seems hazy now, it seems so long ago. She hid the things she'd done, the things I should know. But what was I to do for the hurt and here inside? I killed for love, but the morning was
Boy, it sure is good to hear a Mick Box guitar solo again. It feels like it's been a long time since we've had one where he just played, instead of just playing whatever the riff was to keep the song moving. He's such a generous guitarist that way, but just nice to hear him just kind of play from his heart and his soul again. And with music like this kind of music just really lends itself to a really nice solo. And I think he played something great there. I really love the sound of it, the feel of it. Really in the pocket of the song as always. I mean, he's definitely a master of that. I have to say, I really don't know why this song was left off the album. I mean, it has a radio appeal. It has a soundtrack appeal. I could easily see this being in a movie. Kind of baffling to me. I really love the drums in this song. I think those patterns switching back and forth between the hi-hat lifts and then going to that ride snare pattern that he's playing is really nice. Some great stuff from Lee. Yeah, I'm a little bit baffled, but these decisions are all made in the moment. It's easy for me to look back and play armchair producer and say, well, you should have done this or you should have done that. Lots of reasons that things are done, but I'll say a song that's 3 minutes and 37 seconds, they probably could have cut it down a little bit and made it radio playable. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a lost opportunity because I think it's a really good song and really has a commercial appeal. Well, I love the vocals in that last part. I have to say, it's funny that I quoted Glenn Hughes earlier because the end of that there feels something a little bit more in his style. I've never heard John Lawton hit that rusty raspiness quite that hard before, but it sounded good. It really felt like just another level of passion there. Would have liked a longer fade out for this if he was going to keep doing that because that sounded really good. We had a nearly 20-second fade out on the last song, and this one just kind of went and it was done. So it felt a lot faster, but I'll tell you, it was really good stuff. And yeah, I really liked the song. The bass was really subtle. I couldn't hear as much of what the bass was doing dynamically, but I could tell that it was, you know, certainly Trevor was playing very well on the song from what I could pick out in it. But yeah, an interesting synth sound, but a good song nonetheless. I really enjoyed this one. I hope that will carry you guys through the day into your weekend or just the day whenever you're listening, because I don't expect you all to listen it, you know, as soon as the episode comes out. You might not even know about the podcast when this episode comes out. You might discover the podcast a few months from now, just be hitting this episode and go, wow, that was a great song, like Scott said. Or maybe you won't. I don't know. But in any case, it was a great song. So really glad to share it with you. I kind of feel like a lot of these songs that were on bonus tracks really could have been on the albums. I mean, certainly some of them I pointed out. Yeah, I kind of get why this was left off and never revisited. But a song like this is just a good song. It really could have had a place, I think. So, but the past is the past. It's all part of the history. And again, it's really not fair for me to come in and play, you know, the armchair quarterback or the armchair producer, because, you know, I wasn't there. I don't know what was going on at the time. I don't know why these decisions were made or what the conversations were. But in any case, it's a song that we have access to now on this wonderful deluxe edition of Fallen Angel. So grab that wherever you can. Some of these deluxe editions are hard to find, so you might have to do a little bit of digging as I did, but some of them are on iTunes even, you know, so go grab those while you can. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Remember to take a little time and do something good for yourself and do something good for somebody else. It's so damn easy. We'll see you next week, guys, while we finish out the album Fallen Angel. In the meantime, stay safe, have fun. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show. And thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!